Hey everybody, welcome to So Many Sequels, your book club for movies. I'm Josh.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm David.
Welcome to the show. Midway through 2025 is here.
Ouch.
And past.
Oof. I still, for some reason, in my brain expected you to say 2024.
I
and
thought
I don't
about
know
saying
why.
it, just for fun.
Yeah. 25 has been a blink.
It has been a blink in a lot of ways. Crazy to imagine that that we're 7 months into the year, or entering the 7th month of the year, however you want to look at that. We're going to spend today talking about the year as it's been so far. Kind of go over our top 5 favorite movies of the year up to this point, how the box office is looking, some of our predictions for the end of the year or the rest of the year, I guess. So we're gonna have fun with that. Let us know what your favorites have been. We'd love to know if you've been out in the theaters this year or watching new movies on streaming. We want to know what your favorites have been. So go to somanysequels.com. Follow us on your favorite social media platform. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok and Threads, or find us individually on those. And let us know what you've been watching this year and what your favorites are. We'd love to hear, and we'd love to share some of them. Maybe they're the same. Could be.
Could be.
Let's get into our top 5 movies of the year. I think is the best way to do this. We each have picked our 5. I'm very curious how they'll match up, or if they do.
Same.
I imagine they will.
I imagine at least one will.
Yeah. I think we'll just do kind of what we usually do. Just go down the list and kind of give your little brief case for it, and we'll go around and do that.
We're going to do all of our top 5, or are we going to do 5s around?
5s around, I think, might be best, right? Or
Okay.
We can run down our lists. Speeds it up.
All right, let's do that.
Yeah. Garrett, hit us with yours, because you said you've been struggling with filling out the ranks this year.
It's been tough to get to the movie theater for sure.
Yeah.
And honestly, what's been coming out on streaming is not really even worth sitting down for. A lot of it, at least in my opinion. I'll sit there and be like, this doesn't even look like it's going to be 2.5, and that's kind of like my average. And if it doesn't look that good, I'm not going to watch it at this point in time, especially if it's on streaming. So most of what I've seen has been coming to streaming after a release in theaters. So my top 5 is Novocaine with Jack Quaid.
Okay.
And I don't remember who else is in it. That's why it's number 5. Number 4 is one of the original streaming movies. It's Mountainhead. It's on HBO Max, and it has Steve Carell, Jason Schwartzman, Corey Michael Smith, Rami Youssef, and it took a while to get going, but I really found myself enjoying it as it progressed. These are the 4 richest men in the world, kind of like what we're dealing with right now, and they are stuck in a mountain together as the world goes crazy, and you just see them dealing with basically their wealth and their craziness. So I found that surprisingly fun, especially once it really got going. Number 3 is Companion, also with Jack Quaid. I thought this one had a nicer message than Novocaine. Honestly, Novocaine was a ton of fun, but the story wasn't that great. I found the story in this a lot more compelling. However, it wasn't as memorable as Novocaine, so it was a weird juxtaposition there. And then the only 2 good movies that I feel like I've actually seen this year are Mickey 17 at number 2, and then for me, number 1 is Sinners. And I assume that will be on other people's lists, so I will just let that
potentially recurring theme
go.
What did you say was number 3?
My number 3 was Companion.
Companion, that's right. I was just writing it down. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. This is nice. I'm interested in Mountainhead. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard good things.
I recommend it because I was a little skeptical. I was like, I don't know. I don't really want to watch another movie or story about how rich people suck. I don't need that in my life.
I'm aware.
We just live in it. I mean, that's just a fact of nature. And I'm glad that I watched it because it did. They're all so funny and they're all playing it. It's satire, obviously, but they play it so straight, and I love that. So it was really well done.
Okay. David, what are your 5?
Well, so I've seen 9 movies, both theatrically and
Oh.
streaming this year. So my number 5 is also in my bottom 4. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, my number 5 movie is Captain America: Brave New World. But that's just because I've seen 4 movies that I like slightly less than it. Which I like Brave New World. It's fine. It's a good movie. It's just I feel like it will end up in the middle towards the end of the year as well. Number 4 is Paddington in Peru, because what a fun little movie that was. I feel like this is a very tame top 5 I have this year. Because number 3, I'm going with a documentary. I'm going with Not Just a Goof, the Goofy movie make documentary retrospective. That was that was nice. I really enjoyed that, every aspect of it. And then 2 films that I think probably, as I watch more movies from this year, will probably finish either in the top 10 or at least top 15. Number 2, I have Thunderbolts. Marvel's Thunderbolts was really solid. I enjoyed that a lot. And then number 1, I also have Sinners. What a cinematic experience. And I didn't say this when we reviewed it in the past, okay? But we've all seen it now, and so I'll stay vague with it. But never have I had a movie where I watched the whole movie and I had a complaint in my head. I had a series, not a series, but I had a little nitpick in my head. And never has a movie finished the movie with a one line that made me instantly go, you know what, never mind. They had one line at the end of the movie go, my nitpick is worthless now. They just made up for the whole thing. And I could talk about that off mic.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a really solid movie. So my number 1, Sinners. My number 2, Thunderbolts.
Okay.
Josh?
Yeah. Some new entries there. My top 5 of the year so far is at number 5. I have One of Them Days, the comedy from Keke Palmer and SZA, about them trying to find rent money. Very fun
Man, I
movie.
want to see that movie, but Netflix got it on the next tier, and I can't watch it.
Yeah, they do.
Bitches.
One of Them Days is very funny. Streaming now on Netflix if you're willing to pay the $20 a month plan.
Nope.
Same. Then at number 4, I have Companion, which you mentioned, Garrett.
Yeah.
Number 3, Thunderbolts. I really enjoyed this year. One of the more enjoyable Marvel movies for me in the past couple years, I think. Then at number 2, a movie that continues to be hard for me to explain, but Friendship with Paul Rudd and Tim Robinson is very, very, very weird. And I really enjoyed that movie. Just dudes and bros, they're all weird. We're all very weird. And
Evolution of I Love You,
We're
man.
so
baby.
uncomfortable.
Deeply, madly uncomfortable to the point of, what are you doing? What are you doing? So Friendship, that's not streaming anywhere yet, but hopefully it will be soon. And then number 1, I will complete the tic-tac-toe, I guess. Sinners. Best movie of the year up to this point.
For sure.
I will say, will probably also stay in my top 5 all year. Will probably stay in the top 3 all year. Could stay at number 1 all year.
Yeah.
Very good movie.
Seems possible at this point.
It wouldn't upset me if I don't see a movie better than Sinners this year, because it was that good.
Yeah. What's your guys' least favorite movie this year?
I was hoping you'd ask.
Oh, I ask.
I'll
tell you mine, because I feel like mine's going to cause a controversy, so let me just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
I've seen 10 movies this year, and the one that I have said is my least favorite, I'll put it that way, is because I rank it based on entertainment and what I got out of it, in addition to like movie structure. But my least favorite this year has been Captain America: Brave New World. And I've got Prom Queen, which is the Fear Street movie, above that, and I've got some movies that are just not that great, but you know what they all are? Original. Every single one above Captain America: Brave New World is in some way an original movie, at least to me. They may not be great, and again, it's not anything against Captain America. It was just so the most average thing ever, and it was hard to really care.
Yeah.
There was just not. It was not cool. So it was perfectly fine, but that's my least favorite movie so far.
That's fair enough.
I think.
Go
Go ahead.
No, are you just going to comment on Captain America?
No, because I haven't gotten to see Captain America yet. I was just going to say mine, and it's one that I talked about recently on the show. It was Dangerous Animals, which was the shark movie, shark serial killer movie. Just not,
Sure.
and I don't know that it was bad, but it didn't really work for me.
For me, it's Will Ferrell, Reese Witherspoon movie, You're Cordially Invited, which is just a very lackluster romantic comedy, kind of, with just a lot of gags, and none of the gags really feel like it works. The most creative thing about this movie is how they did the cast titling at the beginning of the movie. Like, it was just, it's everything you expect, and it does not rise above it in any way, and then it's just also not that funny. So, like, it just kind of fails on all three platforms for me as well. So, I mean, that was my bottom so far.
Yeah, I'm sure that we will also watch plenty more really bad movies too, which
For sure.
which should be good. I don't think I have we look at these and it's just been like so many of these movies are just so competent, and it's like, how can I don't even feel like I can pull out hot takes about some of these. It's been a weird kind of year where it's like, okay, we were talking about these top 5 movies, and even though we have a good amount of differences, like, David, you have Captain America and Paddington and not just a goof, and I didn't see Captain America, but the other two are great movies too. I can't even be like, why would you put that goofy movie in there?
It's a solid
It's a solid pick.
Yeah. Well, and again, we'll talk about it as we get into it, but like, looking at this top 10 that we have for the halfway through the year, there's just not been that much compelling, at least for me. I'm not in the demographic for a lot of these things, or everything in this demographic just kind of feels like I've already seen it.
Yeah, it does. It does feel like this is going to be a better year for theaters, but still not as great as it used to be. And it feels like there's a lot of movies here that, like, people a lot younger than us probably enjoy. But then there's some films that have reinvented themselves. So we can get into it if you want to hear the top for the box office.
Yeah, do it.
I can transition to that real quick. So the number one movie of the year at the box office thus far, I think both internationally, well, actually not internationally, but at least here in the United States, is a Minecraft movie, which has brought in $423 million. That's 37 million tickets sold. The numbers had that detail for you, which is about the same as Wicked did last year. Lilo and Stitch, also the live-action Lilo and Stitch remake, doing big numbers with $393 million. Sinners is number 3 with $277 million. Captain America number 4 with $200. Thunderbolts with $189. Both Captain America and Thunderbolts both kind of underperforming what their budget and marketing restrictions would allow. Another one in that category, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, bringing in $181 so far. That movie's still in theaters, so there's still some bits that it can leg out, but probably not going to overcome its like $400 million production budget, which was delayed by all kinds of things. And then How to Train Your Dragon, that live-action remake, brought in $180. See, this is another movie that I have no interest in, really. Obviously, there's an audience for it, but good for them. Final Destination: Bloodlines, by all accounts, by many people, they managed to reinvigorate that particular film franchise. Some people saying it's the best movie in the Final Destination series. Is at number 8 with $135. And then Dogman at number 10. I need to look at something real quick. The number 9 movie of the year is actually Dogman is number 9, and then Snow White, which just dragged itself to just enough to make the top 10. This list I have also includes movies that came out in 2024, and so I had to go and readjust it. But yeah, so Dogman and then the Snow White remake round things out. So it's not necessarily been like a movie that, like, a season so far that's really spoken to us, I think, but
it's it has been big. I read in a separate article, again, looking at kind of the mid-year box office, where it's up 18% year over year from last year, which is
Yeah.
great because we started off much lower. We were looking down. So yeah, I can't see anything different because I'm the same. These are not movies that are for us. That's just all there is to it. But it's for somebody because they're making more money than last year.
Yeah, but okay, Minecraft is a mega smash with youth, right? So that you take that out, and then are we still like 18% ahead, or are we about where we are? Because that one is a massive smash.
Well, I don't know.
And
I'd have to do
I
math
wonder
on
how that would impact it, because that is, that one and Lilo and Stitch, surprisingly.
Yeah, Lilo and Stitch is
are
about
like-
to pass Minecraft.
Yeah, it's crazy how popular those two have been. But I mean, you go through this and it's like Minecraft, fine. That's at least an original movie. It's not an original IP, but it's an original movie, I guess. Lilo and Stitch remake. Sinners original. Captain America superhero. Thunderbolts superhero. Mission Impossible superhero. How to Train Your Dragon remake kid movie. Final Destination sequel. Mufasa a pretend remake sequel. Same thing, but same but different that they've been doing for the last 5 Lion Kings. And then Dogman, which is a kid movie. So there's so many kid movies in this, which is cool.
Yeah.
And then just again, so many remakes, so many reboots. There's nothing, and then Sinners.
So here's what
it's just embarrassing, honestly.
Here's what I'll tell you, and this may or may not answer your question about if you took out Minecraft, but looking at last year's top 10 movies, out of the top 10, 2 movies from last year came out before July 1st that finished as the top 10 movies. Almost every one of the top 8 movies of the year came out June 1st, or excuse me. Inside Out 2 actually came out June 14th. So you had one movie that one extra movie in there. So the 7 of the top 10 movies from 2024 came out after July 1st. So we're doing much better for the first half.
Yeah.
So it's going to be up to the second half to see now, with big blockbusters like Jurassic World, Superman, Fantastic Four, even that I Know What You Did Last Summer, right? That may not be necessarily the biggest one of the year, but if that can do pretty well here in July, then that'll go a long way. And then we'll see how the holidays go. But yeah, we've had a lot of good opens. We've had some surprising flops, but we are so far doing better than, May last year was this big, people were like, oh, the movies are dead because The Fall Guy and Furiosa both, bombed in their opening weekends. We're not at that point this year, fortunately. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the year goes in terms of theater. And even theater distributors will tell you they have not recovered from the pandemic. They overall business is still down compared to 2019, 2018, 2017, sort of the heights that it was reaching at the theater experience.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you named a good amount of movies that are gonna, I'm pretty confident about Superman and Jurassic Park adding a good amount of money. I think those will do well, and then it will be interesting to see what other surprises, if any, are out there still. A movie that maybe
Can Fantastic Four do anything?
Can it? I think
will
it
people
could.
go see it,
or it will not. I don't know.
I don't know.
Who's to say?
Word of mouth's going to do a lot on that, And I think word of mouth do a lot for Superman as well. But I think Fantastic Four, best case scenario, maybe it has something akin to the Captain America Winter Soldier or the Guardians of the Galaxy back in 2014. Worst case scenario, it continues the trend of Thunderbolts and Captain America, where Thunderbolts has high praise, but not enough, but doesn't make enough money. Captain America did okay box office, not tremendous, but not as great critically. I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it has a chance to do what Deadpool and Wolverine did last year, where it made $1 billion. It just seems unlikely to me, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at the list. Let's talk about some of the trends that we're seeing in movies this year. I'm noticing vampires for sure with Sinners, coming hot off the heels of Nosferatu last December, which was another hit. Not quite to the Sinners extent, but it shows that vampires are cool again, I think. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it's just that these are good vampire movies, or
Is it-
maybe it is part of a larger thing. I don't know yet.
Is it a recession?
Is it a recession
thing?
indicator? Are we back in the 2008-9 Twilight era of vampires? I don't know. That, and for a long time, video game adaptations were like a surefire way to flop.
Mhm.
You know, they never did well.
Yeah.
And then somewhere over the last 5 to 10 years, it's flipped. And I feel like there's a new trend where if you make a kids movie based on a video game, it's yours to mess up at this point.
Yeah.
Like Minecraft, huge. Five Nights at Freddy's, that surprised people how much money it made.
Super Mario Brothers.
Super Mario Brothers, Sonic the Hedgehog's a trilogy now. They're doing another Mario. They're doing a Legend of Zelda movie now.
The
Mortal
Skibidi
Kombat
Toilet.
2 is coming, and this is like the third.
That
Mortal
one I'm
Kombat.
going to be intrigued by because that one's not for kids and people
Yeah.
don't go see Mortal Kombat movies. So I'm super interested to see if people will go see it.
Isn't that going to be the fascinating thing of like, hey, you know that thing how what worked for superhero and comic book movies was sort of treating them as like content for adults, like for maybe people like, maybe not even adults, but like 15 to older, and like making it kind of realistic and things like that. Wouldn't it be interesting if for video games it's the opposite? It's the more kid-friendly you make it and the more family-friendly you make it, that's how you end up getting success.
Yeah.
And then the other trend that we've already kind of been going over this episode is you look at the top grossing movies of 2025 so far right now, this top 10, and it just looks like the watered down 2000s.
Yeah.
It's the same titles in a lot of
It's
cases.
again, nothing against, the people who like these movies, but these movies, we live in an age where everybody's just cranking out content to make money by making millions and millions of dollars of movie, like for budgets, and then asking people to make 400, like it's stupid.
That's the thing. If you went 20 years back in time, 2005, and you showed someone this top 10 list, half these movies would make sense, and that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
They'd go, Lilo and Stitch, that just came out. They'd go, they're still making Mission Impossible?
Yeah.
They'd go, How to Train Your
They're
Dragon?
still making Final Destination?
They'd go, Mufasa the Lion King. Are we back in the Lion King? And then they'd
Dog
go,
Man, I love that book.
Minecraft, what's that?
Yeah.
That might be the
What's
only
a
one.
Minecraft?
But the point is, it's not very different looking from 20 years ago.
No, and I think,
Mid-tier crap.
We're also in a weird generational thing of like, so when the early 2000s and even the 2010s, that was kind of our prime movie watching, right? That's when we hit our teens. That's when we hit our 20s, and like we're watching movies. We're obsessed. And at that time, we were living on nostalgia for movies from the 90s and 80s, right? Mostly the 80s at that stage. You were getting a lot of 80s sequels and a lot of movies from the 90s that just kept going, or early 2000s that just kept going, right? And it feels like they're already drawing they're already adapting and drawing franchises from our time of like movie, like the 2000s and the 2010s. How to Train Your Dragon and Lilo and Stitch. It's like, isn't it too soon for this? Shouldn't we be like way older before we start dragging up movies? I mean, they're making a remake to Moana, which came out in 2016, right? So like,
that one really bugs
and
me.
it just feels like no. Like I understand you want to make a sequel or a live action adaptation of these things eventually, but can we get into our 50s, please, before we start having to like trudge up the childhood we just had? I know we're all in our 30s now, so like it feels like we're ancient for some people, but it just I wanted to have to wonder if that's how our parents felt when they would go to the theater and they went, another Karate Kid, or whatever.
It's, I don't know. It truthfully, it feels like the studios and the production offices or whatever, they've all just given up. It feels like they've all just given up, and that any kind of mid-tier movie that they make is just truly so bad that it goes directly to streaming just to fill the content void that doesn't exist. It's just like, crank it out, put it online. Someone will watch it, they'll love it. And it's sure, but it's garbage. And you just keep making garbage over and over and over. And then it just translates to the stuff that you're making in box office.
Yeah.
Stop
like-
making shit. Just stop. Just stop. I know that you are losing money left and right with your stupid streaming service that you probably shouldn't have done, and you're really trying to justify.
That's the truth right
But
there.
maybe, maybe you should just get rid of that. Maybe that's the better answer.
Can't
Unfortunately,
close Pandora's box now, unfortunately.
I know.
Unfortunately, largely speaking, it does feel like critical or even audience acclaim is tertiary to the goals of the studios now. It's like, one, will it make money at the box office?
Yeah.
Two, can it fit into our streaming platform so that we have content that we can promote, right? And then, like, is it, and then if you have a critical hit, they're like, oh, well, great, what a plus. What added added value for us. But, like, they're also in a place where these studios, like, they have reached a point where they cannot afford bombs. They can't afford they can't afford bombs. They can't afford for things not to make money. So they can't greenlit things that they can't put into an algorithm and generate how much money will this potentially make. And so, like, you're not getting as much, and this is not new information to anybody, I don't think, but you're not getting as much cool creative stuff. And when you do, it's such a revelation. When you get a thing like Sinners from Ryan Coogler, or you get something, and I know that there's going to be certain types of film fans that don't care about this or care, like you get something from a Christopher Nolan or from any of, recent directors who are still allowed to do that kind of thing. Didn't, like, even like our most acclaimed directors, what are they acclaimed for doing? They're acclaimed for making franchise movies for us. The reason that where people are really high on Denis is because he made Blade Runner 2049 and the Dune movies, which are just adaptations and sequels. And now he's going on to James Bond. So, like, it's like, it's so hard for studios to greenlit something new because they can't, the right number of flops and they're done.
Yeah. They find
And
a way
then
to
all of a sudden
afford a
they're
lot
getting
of flops,
acquired.
though. Yeah.
Everybody is a few flops away from being, 20th Century Fox and being bought by Disney.
Promise? No, I don't want Disney to buy everything.
No, we only have I was watching, I can't even remember what it was. But y'all remember TriStar? Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember Viacom? Whenever
Everything
they were doing all
old
of
is
that?
just a Disney property they've closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just, everything is owned by the same people. And again, that's why they are just remaking their old stuff, because they know you're going to see it and they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, this sounds like a good place to transition into our final segment of the day, which is going to be our predictions and what we're kind of hoping for and expecting for the next half of the year. I'm going to go first with mine. It's maybe more wishful thinking than a prediction, but I think James Gunn is going to make Superman great again.
I'm with you.
I think that there is a want for this to be good. I think there is a lot of goodwill toward David Corenswet, the guy playing Superman this time. I think that there is a hunger for the truth, justice, and the American way Superman that we used to know. Mm-hmm. And I think from the trailers, I'm seeing that he may be this one and not sad, mopey, dark suit Superman that the Snyder people love so much. Mm-hmm. And I think people would like... I think this Superman has a chance to give people a superhero that, yeah, we all know him, but you know what he's not? The same old Marvel guy over and over again. And people like James Gunn, so that's what I think. I think it could happen.
I think that Jordan Peele's Him is going to be one of the scariest movies to come out. And based on the trailer, I do think that it's really going to lean into... it looks like a football horror movie, but there's the toxic masculinity that is being faced by men. I think that is what it's going to lean into, and I think that Marlon Wayans is going to be incredible in it.
I hope so. I agree.
my prediction, one, I predict that, even though this will happen next year, but I think that Ryan Coogler will be nominated for, either Sinners will be nominated for Best Picture or Ryan Coogler will be nominated for Best Director. I would lean more towards Sinners being Best Picture nominee than Ryan Coogler, unfortunately. But I think that's going to happen. I think that I would also like to predict that I think, unfortunately, Avatar Fire and Ash, which comes out later this year, will probably end up being the top grossing movie of the year, maybe.
That feels like a big prediction.
I think because those movies keep making...
I don't think you're wrong, though.
Yeah, both Avatar movies have been hugely successful, even though...
Once, right, but twice... Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
You'd be crazy to argue that the third one would be a flop.
So I think it's a good chance, and I think those are my main predictions. I think that next year's Academy Awards are going to be kind of interesting because I haven't seen a lot this year. Even other people haven't. I have not heard other people talk about movies that feel like they've stood out so far. So it'll be interesting to see how October through December goes in terms of award caliber movies.
Well, the most interesting thing about next year's Oscars is that no matter what movies are nominated, we still get to see Conan. And that's what matters.
Yes.
That's what matters most.
We still get to see Conan. Okay, well, that's going to be it for our mid-year review episode. I think considering the fact that we talked about how it's kind of been a meh year, there's still some bright spots to talk about, and there's hopefully still some bright spots to look forward to. So subscribe to the show if you haven't done that yet over on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts. And go to SoManySequels.com. You can find links there, as well as all of our past episodes. You can get in touch with us there. All the fun stuff is at SoManySequels.com. All right. We will see you guys soon. Bye.